Welcome students. Very good morning to all the students, those who are preparing for Anti-Net Management 2019 exam. As you know, we have already gone through so many of the series. We are into our fresh series of organization behavior. We are considering all the important topics that would be there in your exam. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon. Facing any challenges, please put a comment. We'll try to upload the video as soon as possible. Let's continue for the day. Very important concept of the OB. Let's see what this is all about. A social learning theory. It's an important one. The view that we can learn through both observation and direct experience. There is a view that we can learn from both observation and direct experience. You have the representative participation, important key point. The system in which workers participate in the organizational decision making, and that through the group of representative employees. How do they participate? Through the group of representative employees. Let's continue. Variable pay program, another important concept, can be asked in your coming exams. Let us see what is this all about. This is a pay plan that bases a portion. It's a pay plan. It's a basis a portion of an employee's pay on some. It's a basis on employee's pay on some individual or organizational measure of performance. A very important key point. You can note it down. Let's continue. You have the skill-based pay. This is an important concept. What is this all about? A pay plan that sets pay levels on the basis of how many skills employees have or how many jobs they can do. You can note in your notebook that it's a pay plan that sets pay levels on the basis of how many skills employee have or how many jobs they can do. It's about the skills and the jobs, number of jobs. Then you have employee stock ownership plan, an important concept. This is also known as ESOP, can be definitely asked in your academic exams. It's a company established benefit plan. It is established by the company in which employees acquire a stock often at below market prices as part of the benefits. Important key point. Let us see the substitutes. Very important key points. Attributes such as experience and training that can replace the need for leaders' support or ability to create the structure, that will be known as substitutes. Then you have the neutralizers, and these are the attributes that make it impossible for the leader to behavior to make any differences to follower outcomes. And then you have the identification based trust. This will be trust based on mutual understanding. An important key point, mutual understanding of each other's intention and appreciation of each other's wants and desires. You can note it down. Let's continue. Now see the avoiding actions, some other key points or concepts and the techniques. These are really important. Techniques are nowadays coming in exam regularly. Let us see what this technique all about. We have some first of the technique, that is the over-conforming. Another important technique. Let us see what is this all about. Over-conforming is strictly interpreting. You have to interpret in over-conforming. You have to interpret your responsibility by saying things like the rules clearly state, or this is the way. This is also the important one. This is the way we have always done it. That is also over-conforming. Then you can say buck passing, and buck passing is an important concept. Buck passing, you have the transferring responsibility for the execution of a task or decision to someone else. That is known as buck passing. Then you have playing dumb. Playing dumb is an important technique. Avoiding an unwanted task by falsely pleading ignorance or inability. That will be known as playing dumb. Then you have the stretching. Stretching will be prolonging a task so that a person appears to be occupied. For example, tuning or turning a 2-week task into a 4-month job. That will also be example of stretching. Important one. You can note it down. And then you have important technique, that is stalling. And that is appearing to be more or less supportive publicly while doing little or nothing privately. Stalling is also important technique. You can note it down or take a screenshot. These all the techniques are very, very important. Let's go through once again. We saw conforming, that is strictly interpreting your responsibility by saying things like the rules clearly state, or this is the way we have always done it. Then we saw buck passing, that is transferring responsibility for the execution of a task or decision to someone else. Then we saw playing dumb, that is avoiding an unwanted task by falsely pleading ignorance or inability. Then we saw stretching, that is prolonging a task so that one person appears to be occupied. For example, turning a 2-week task into a 4-month, that is also an example of stretching. Then we saw stalling. Stalling is another important key point. In stalling, we saw appearing to be more or less supportive publicly while doing little or nothing privately. This is the important key point. Let's continue. Then we have some of the techniques that are related to avoiding blame. I know it is a little bit small, but it is visible. Next of the time we will see that the font should be very, very large. Buffing. Buffing is also an important technique. This was a niche way to refer to covering your rear. It describes the practice of rigorously documenting activity To project an image of competence and thoroughness, you have to project what? You have to project the image of competence and the thoroughness, two types of images. And then playing safe or evading situations that may reflect unfavorably. You have to evade the situations that are unfavorably reflectable, and you have to include taking on only projects. You have to take the projects with high probability of success. You don't have to take other risky projects or decisions. You have to take high risk one, high success one. You don't have to take the risky ones. And having risky decisions approved by supervisors. If they are risky ones, then you have to approve them by the supervisors. You have to do qualifying expressions of judgment, very important key point. Make a note. And taking neutral positions in conflict. You have to always take neutral positions in the conflicts. Talking about next new topic, important topic, that is the justifying. In the justifying, you have to developing explanations that lessen one's responsibility for a negative outcome and or apologizing to demonstrate remorse or both. Very important key point, that responsibility for a negative outcome and or apologizing or to demonstrate remorse or both. Then you have scapegoating, another important key point or concept. In scapegoating, you place the blame for a negative outcome. Important key point, you place the blame for negative outcome on external factors, and the blame is on external factors that are not entirely blameworthy. These are not entirely blameworthy. Then you have misrepresenting, that is manipulation information by distortion. What you do, you manipulate by distortion. Then we have embellishment. You also use embracement. You also use deception. You also use selective presentation or obfuscation. These all you can be used. These are really important words. You can note it down or you can take a screenshot. Distortion, embellishment, deception, and selective presentation or obfuscation. Scapegoating we have already discussed. Now let us quickly revise what we saw. We have gone through these all concepts today. We saw the variable behavior plan, social learning theory. I'm pretty sure, we started from social learning theory. It is a view that we can learn both observation and direct experience. Then we saw representative participation. In that we saw a system in which workers participate in organizational decision making, and that is done through small group of representative employees. Then what we saw variable pay, that is important program. With that, it bases a portion of an employee pay on some individual or organizational measure of performance. Then we saw skill based pay. What was that? If it was a pay plan that sets pay levels on the basis of how many skills employees have or how many jobs they can do. Then we saw employee stock ownership plan. It was known as ESOP, a company established benefit plan in which employees acquire stock, often at below market prices, as part of their benefits. Let us continue. Then we saw substitutes. In that we saw attributes such as experience and training that can replace the need for learners support or ability to create structure. This is an important key point. Then we saw neutralizers. In that we have attributes that make it possible for leader behavior to make any difference to follower outcomes. Very important key point. Then we saw identification based trust. It was a trust based on mutual understanding of each other's intentions and appreciations of each other's wants and desires. These are really important key points. Simple one, self-explanatory also. Overconforming, we saw avoiding action techniques. First was overconforming. In that we saw strictly interpreting your responsibility by saying things the rules clearly state, or this is the way we have already done it. Then we saw important technique of backpassing. It is a transferring responsibility for the execution of a task or decision to someone else. Then we saw playing dumb. It is avoiding an unwanted task by falsely pleading ignorance or inability. We also saw stretching. Stretching is again important topic. Important concept can be asked in a coming exam. We saw prolonging a task so that one person appears to be occupied. For example, turning a 2-week task into a 4-month job. That is also example of stretching. We saw stalling. Stalling is also important. We saw waiting to be more or less supportive publicly while doing little or nothing or things privately. Then we saw some of the avoiding blame techniques also. This is, I think, avoiding action, and this is avoiding blame. This is a little difference. You have to note this difference, otherwise you may get confused. We have in this some different techniques, and some are also common also. Like proofing, we saw in a niche way to refer to covering your rear. It is describing the practice of rigorously documenting. You have to rigorously documenting activity to project an image of competence and thoroughness. What you have to do, you have to project the image of competence and thoroughness. Then we saw playing safe, very important concept and topic. In that you have to evade the situations that may reflect unfavorably. What you do evading situations that are reflecting unfavorably. Then it included taking on only projects. You have to take only the projects with high probability of success. Very important key point. and having risky decision approved by supervisors. If you take risky decisions, you have to do them approval of the supervisor. You have to seek qualifying expressions of judgment, very important key point. And taking neutral position in conflict, you should always take neutral position in conflict. And you talk about the new and important technique, that is a justifying. In justifying, what we saw developing explanations. It is about develop the explanation that lessen one's responsibility for a negative outcome, very important key point. And or apologizing to demonstrate remorse, or both, very important key point that you saw. And we have already gone through apologizing, this one, apologizing to demonstrate remorse, or both. You can do both also, you can do single also, that is apologizing, or either domestic remorse. Very important key point. This you have to note that the negative outcome is the key point of justifying. And we saw scope quoting. Scope quoting again important one. You place the blame for negative outcome on external factors, then you do scope quoting that are not entirely blameworthy, but you still place it on the external factors. Then we saw important technique of misrepresentation or misrepresenting. What is that about? In misrepresenting, we have the manipulation of information by distortion and the embellishment, and you have deception. You have selective perception also, or you can say presentation, and you saw obfuscation. This is again important technique. We saw in the misrepresentation or misrepresenting with important word. Obfuscation, you have to note it down. The rest of technique we'll see in next class. I'm pretty sure this will be the last one. Yeah, there are some other concepts, but we are not seeing. Next class we will see the other concepts. I'm pretty sure you will like the series. Facing challenge, any difficulty in any subject of management, please write a comment and we will upload the video. Please do subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon. There is no charge for that. You can do so, and we will also getting promoted or motivated because it's our new channel. It's a need motivation from your side. Please do subscribe. Just few seconds to subscribe the button, and you will not miss any topic, any concept. You can easily crack the exam. We'll meet soon in next class.